okay.
Yeah, at some point you do just gotta move on from it, and I can understand taking this one away from Karis. They're actually gonna put a couple of bans into Karis, which is surprising, right? Karis has been easily the weakest member of WE. His laning phase has been a specific weak point for him, so if IG are ever really gonna be able to get Rookie going, fire that engine back up for him again, this could be a really good matchup to try to do it into. I was gonna say, I would expect us to see a Pantheon locked in this early when it has been let through the pick bans, but no, Vampire immediately gonna slam onto this Neeko. It's been one of the strongest support picks recently, and it already tells you that WE, they want to go fighting.
I mean, we go back to one of our fan takes that we had from the anonymous one about if Vampire was on a better team, he'd be a top tier support. And for WE's benefit and credit, when they made the miracle run to 4th place in playoffs, it was Vampire and Monki together as an engine, being able to dismantle the map and just create enough disruption that the enemy team could not really do anything about it. And right now, Pop Blossom Cyclone, two great, fantastic team fighting ultimates. Pair that with a Kaisa if that is locked in for Taeyoon. That is a recipe for diving the hell out of IG's backline.
This is a very aggressive early set of pickups. I'm not surprised that we end up seeing the Wukong picked up. You really don't want to goof the Wukong over alongside that Rumble. That Equalizer Cyclone combo is one of the most miserable things you can try to play into. And I do also like that you now get Taeyoon onto the Kaisa, a champion he's been very good on, and it takes it away from Gala, his absolute best pickup that he's had the entire time.
And the fact that IG have completely dropped the Pantheon for themselves, even though that it has been one of Wei's go-to champions, and just being able to set up early game control, being able to accelerate the game off of those grand starfalls. I think IG are recognizing, you know what, WE are going to try to play for a slower game anyway. Let's give our jungler a little bit more time, see what part of the jungle pool gets thinned out here. We are not pressed to try and take any priority skirmishers. We can wait for later. Maybe there's a better pick overall for us later down the draft, and securing things that have already worked well for a lot of our carries.
Ornn also going to be taken off of the board, as well as that Jhin, so we are just going to see a little bit more movement towards this jungle role. Very surprising to see jungle picked up in the second rotation. That's mainly been a first rotation pickup, and these teams are, you know, departing from that for us just a little bit right here. Again, just so much focus going down onto this middle lane. I am very surprised, although, yeah, this has very much been one of the better champions. I do wonder if Karis is still going to be looking towards his Aurora. That's one of the final remaining champions that hasn't been banned away, that he's been looking good on, that he really likes to go towards. It doesn't necessarily have the easiest time into the Orianna. You're not thinking you're going to be able to get too many solo kills, but you do have some squishy carries that you could go chase around in the backline if you want to move towards that.
I like this from IG, because this can be flexed between either Meiko or Wei, and it's going to still hide information from WE on what bot lane they're going to be playing in, who is the jungle, and then how does that affect, you know, certain 2v2s on the top side. How does that affect the 2v2 on the bottom side of the map? Where does WE want to play for? Do they want to, you know, weak side top and then try and snowball bot lane? Or now with the Poppy support, does that mean, oh, do we try and play for a strong side top lane into this Rumble pick? And with the decisions here, it's Aurora mid for Karis, Galio for top. I still think the call is try and play through the bottom side of the map for WE.
Absolutely, they're going to have to. They're going to need to get Taeyoon ahead. Whether or not he was on the main carry or not, he has just been the main carry for this squad, and he is in a position to carry them out here. A lot of pressure going to be on his shoulders. We'll see what IG are going to round their composition out with. Currently hovering on towards the Bard. That would be a wild pickup. It's something that is very fun. They do end up going towards it. Okay. You were talking very highly of Meiko, for good reason. He's been incredible throughout this entire split. Bard is a wild champion to be pulling out at this point in such a crucial matchup as well.
Meiko has to be extremely crucial when he chooses to use the Tempered Fate, because we have already had a couple of series in the past few days where there's been some anti-synergies with Tempered Fate and big AoE ultimates. The Rumble Equalizer, I've seen at least 2 games where Tempered Fate came out the same time as the Equalizer, and I wanted to gouge my eyes out real quick and just pretend it didn't happen. And that's always but I have faith that IG are not going to mess up that combo, because they have been so damn good when it comes to those mid-late game team fighting scenarios. It's chaotic, it's messy, but somehow it's all synchronized in the chaos that they find, and that's why they're such an entertaining team.
Exactly. That's the thing, right? If this was flipped and we had WE with the Bard, I would not trust that we weren't going to see multiple anti-synergies. I don't trust that WE are fully on the same page. IG, I think I do have a little bit more faith in them to be able to execute in onto this composition. For WE, this is a comp that's very much in their wheelhouse. Monki gets himself his champion right here with the Wukong. Karis, we highlighted the Aurora for good reason. It's one of the few champions it feels like Karis is actually feeling very comfortable on. You've just got Cube on a tank and Taeyoon in a position to be able to carry. Same thing with Vampire, that Pop Blossom. We've seen how it can just completely change the landscape of a team fight. Come on, WE. If you're going to be able to do it, I think this is the composition they could make work.
And it's time to see how it all unfolds. We've got our first compositions locked in for our first series of the night. Let's hit the riff for WE and Invictus Gaming.
All right.
Not gonna lie, guys, I don't have sound, so I'm hoping the gyos were good. From the audience camera. Oh, we got sound now. Let's go. Okay. I'm assuming, can our producer confirm that the gyos were Pog? Can we confirm that? I think we're in Xi'an because it's WE game, so it should be WE's home stadium, if I remember correctly.
They should be Pog. I would have expected them to have been very hype. As we've been talking about, right, both of these teams still have got things to fight for. This is not an FPX that we'll see in the next series, who don't really have any way to do anything other than play spoiler. Both of these teams have got incredibly important wins here. Can really change up their standings and change the landscape of this entire group Ascend and the way that it will shake out at the end of this split.
As we talked about before, the fact that Monki gets this Wukong here, he'll be able to full clear to his content. Strange that he's not pathing towards the bottom side with his opening clear, though. He's actually pathing towards the top side of the map. Curious if that was a reaction to Wade trying to go for an aggressive invade as level 2, since you can always do that as Poppy, as Peanut has shown it in the past from the LCK owner as well. Both of those guys have been able to kind of exemplify that when I think of 2023 Worlds. So Monki just trying to make sure that he can start on the side of the map where his bot lane is going to guarantee to get pushed. It'll be safe for him, and this avoids any conflict so that he can get to level 4 without any interference.
And it does also mean that he should be unspotted as well, isn't going to be fully visible and making his way through this clear. I'd be surprised if we actually end up seeing him gank up towards the top side of the map. TheShy constantly getting pushed on back. And as you highlighted earlier, right, Raafaa, bot lane should be where it's at, already heavy trading.
Gala and Meiko trying to set up now, knowing that Wei is pathing towards the bottom side of the map, and because, as you called out, Monki didn't show on that early ward in his own blue buff jungle, IG are operating with the information that Monki is pathing towards the opposite side, away from bot lane. This should be an uncontested 3v2 advantage that they will have.
Indeed, it will be. Already, WE being forced a little bit further back. They do not want to get themselves caught out right here. They're going to know the way is on their side. At least they should have a good enough idea of it. Oh, okay. I was as if he was just going to keep on heading down towards this bottom side, but no. So it's just going to be the trade of the Scuttle Crabs. WE are going to have a little bit more control over the top side of the map, and IG a little bit more control over the bottom. Again, I do prefer this for IG. I think having control over this bottom side of the map is going to be critical, and so let's see what Monki can do to force his way down onto this bottom side, maybe get himself involved. He is now going to be spotted out, although Meiko takes a huge chunk of damage. He's just going to have to turn tail and run.
As long as Gala is not forced to recall there, it is totally okay. Taeyoon managed to get a early base for a cull. Gala's able to one-up and say, look, I got a goal too, as well as a dagger. So, bit of a stat differential there. We'll see if IG can actually make that a huge advantage. As, oh, don't worry. Don't worry, we'll mention that. Our producer's like, hey guys, not a lot is happening on this game. Why don't we shout out one of our sponsors? And you know what? Sometimes in these minute interactions in bot lane can always be accumulated to a pro diff. And if you want to learn more about how you can make pro diff in your own games, check out prodiff.gg, where using the code LPL10, you can save 10% on the next one-on-one that you schedule with a current or former pro from LTA, NACL, or the ERL.
And you cannot be overlooking how your early laning phase goes. It's going to be incredibly crucial in this game. It's going to be critical as well in your solo queue games. And we'll see how this one shakes out, because so far it's been pretty chill. We saw a little bit of trading down in the bottom side. We haven't really seen either of these junglers try to get involved yet, but that looks like it's about to change. Wei charging into the bottom side. Oh. I get the feeling I might have lost Raafaa. Okay, yep. Have unfortunately lost Raafaa. I'm sure we'll get him back in a second. Obviously, we watched that gank come on through, and yeah, don't quite pick up any of those kills, which is interesting. Really do want to see this Poppy getting ahead as quickly as possible. It's a sort of champion where if you can find those early ganks, they can be incredibly potent, but WE, they're just going to keep themselves alive right here. A little bit of a ward, going to spot out any potential map rotations coming on through. And WE, they are just going to move their way through this bottom side river. Just keep taking up this space. I don't think Monki really has the priority in his bot or mid lane to really think about starting up this Drake, though. And so we'll see if they're going to actually jump in onto the Chemtech. Hang on. Karis. Getting quite low, but Wei gonna jump straight in onto Monki. Monki gonna get himself back over the wall. Nope. I mean, just immediately gets stopped right there. Final auto attack. Gala flashing forwards to ensure that he's gonna be able to pick up that one. Meiko did put down the portal. Not gonna decide to take it. I think that would have been a little bit overly aggressive, but that is IG picking themselves up that first blood. And exactly onto the member they would have wanted. You've got yourself that cull in inventory, so as Gala, you're kind of just chilling, trying to get through your laning phase, but if you're going to have a kill teed up for you beautifully by Wei, why not take it? Sorry. Okay, and just keep up right here. Constantly pushing on through. Oh, Karis. Karis super low again on the Aurora. And this is something me and Raafaa, when I had him, RIP, I miss him dearly. I hope he can come back to me soon. He loves this champion. He goes to this champion constantly, but he really has not actually been able to do too much with it. Might be able to solo kill Rookie here. Not quite going to be able to. As I see a Raafaa back in my Discord channel. Oh, okay, we're just going to get that Poppy ulti away. He's back! Okay. You here? Amazing. Hell yeah. Let's go! You missed a kill! Alright. Not yet. Not yet. Monki. Just way too aggressive in this situation, right? He steps himself up. Flashing away late as well. I think if he insta-flashes away before he ends up with that heroic charge into the wall, potentially there's an opportunity for him to be able to get away from that situation, but not going to happen. IG, they also pick themselves up that Drake on the back end of that fight too, so IG once again getting themselves an early advantage into WE, and as we've been talking about, right, an IG that falls behind is still a threat in the late game, so giving them an early advantage, it's very unlikely for them to let it go. Monki doing his best to get back involved in this one, trying onto the grubs. Do you see screen? Yeah, an IG with an advantage for themselves is just such a threat into the late games. They play these team fights out so incredibly well. Still, they do end up losing out onto all 3 of those grubs. WE are able to grab that for themselves, so always nice to see WE fighting in. I just need to see a little bit of earlier aggression out of WE here. Monki, obviously, he tries for that early play, gets caught out, but he hasn't really tried for any more ganks. He's level 7, right? He's got the Cyclone available. This is the point at which you need to be linking up with Karis or with Taeyoon and just trying to get involved. We haven't really seen any of these big skirmishes coming through yet, and that is where the WE composition is really going to come online.
Next objective to play for is about in 2.5 minutes with the Infernal Dragon. TP from Meiko just so that he can get tempo here on the map alongside Wei. Vampire trying to at least give some vision and safety over to Taeyoon. Spots out Wei and Meiko traversing into their own red quadrant jungle. Teleport already expended by Cube to match TheShy, but he's a little bit behind on the TP cooldown, so... Shockwave answers back onto Karis because he threw down the Between Worlds. Flash from Karis, just one more auto attack. Yeah, he gets it. And this is one of the things that we talked about before, Bloxxer. Rookies sometimes is not going to be consistent and clean when it comes to these early laning decisions.
No, and this is exactly what you don't want to have happen, because in terms of not ideal laning phases, Karis is at the absolute peak of that one, as we watch Meiko make a little bit of a great escape as a flash portal away. Getting solo killed by Karis, that is not what you want to see if you're a Rookie fan.
This is something that IG fans have become a little accustomed to, and thankfully for them, Rookie is able to make it up most of the time past the 20-minute mark when he's able to find some really clutch ultimates or plays in general. But this is something where, even though we don't necessarily or normally associate Karis with being a strong laner or a win condition, the times that Karis has found an advantage, sometimes if Monki can leverage it above, that's where WE pulls out their surprise victories.
Exactly. What we've been talking about almost all year long is that these carries like Taeyoon and Monki, and even Vampire in certain situations, they just need Karis and Cube to be in decent spots. A little bit ahead even, and they can win games. That's the way that WE unlock themselves, and usually you only get to see it for 1 out of every 3 games. You get to see it in the second one. If WE can actually jump out to an early win here versus IG, that gives them a ton of momentum. It could be a way for them to actually just step up in this game, upset IG, and keep their hopes of getting themselves that 7th seed alive.
We're starting to come down now on the timer for the second dragon. WE currently have push in the mid lane. Wei is hovering TheShy, though, on the bottom side just to make sure that he can safely push this in. Doesn't look like his teleport is back off cooldown, but he should be able to have enough time to walk from base, getting a decent back in, able to complete tier 2 boots, as well as the Faded Ashes. So not the full completed Leandry's Torment here, but should still be strong enough. The big thing here, I think, is important for WE. This is not a rank 2 ultimate Rumble ulti coming their way, since he's only level 10.
Yeah. You are still in a spot where you can afford to stand on top of that equalizer for a little bit. Not for too long, of course, but it's not going to immediately shreds through your entire health bar. Drake is started up. Where's the in? You're looking right here at Vampire.
Vampire, 2-man flash pop blossom right on top of Meiko. And they're instantly popped, and WE are getting things rolling on their side. This time TheShy trying to flash up from Monki, but Monki makes it out alive. Gala able to kite this one out, trying to threaten Karis back, and TheShy turns up the heat, and he burns down Cube, and now Karis is left all alone going, wait a minute, what happened to my AD carry? What happened to my jungler? Where have they gone? Vampire is too low to participate in this fight. Karis doesn't go down, but he can't even threaten. There's no jungler on either side. There's no smite. Can Karis find a miracle? Oh, he can wait for the two-fold egg.
Oh,
yeah, baby!
Yeah!
Karis clutches the dragon away.
There we go. WE, they salvage what should have been a good fight for them at the very start. It's an excellent initial engage. Vampire, Cube, they get that combo between the ultis off perfectly, and it looks like it's all going to be okay for WE. But when we have a look back at this replay, watch how split this fight ends up. There's no consistency in target acquisition for WE, and it leaves them just in a terrible spot. Pop Blossom, Hero's Entrance, they immediately blow up a couple of members. That's 2 kills right at the very start of this one. But look, you end up with Cube and Monki on one side of it, Taeyoon and Karis over on the other side, and you just aren't playing together anymore. You've blown all of your big cooldowns, and the turnaround is massive from IG. If they pick themselves up this Drake, that would have been a one fight for IG overall. Instead, it's just going to be those kills going over, and the critical Infernal Drake into the pocket of WE.
Feeling less of a consolation prize and more of a just a overall victory for
Just
WE.
a win, yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
IG have been able to come back from worse situations. They are
Yes,
still
they have.
technically ahead in gold, but it's nice to see WE being able to find clutch moments. And once again, it is coming off of the back of Karis, who is someone that we have criticized heavily over the course of 2025.
Yep.
But he has not had his good moments, and right now it seems like this game 1 is looking like another rare but good moment from Karis.
I don't care how much of a roughie Rookie has been having. Solo killing Rookie, getting yourself into a strong spot up against Rookie in this laning phase, that's a good sign right here for WE's mid laner. We are going to see this Herald started up right here by IG. It's already down well below half. Does Monki get in?
Cyclone onto 1. Vampire follows up with a 2-man Pop Blossom, looking at Meiko and Wei. He takes the magical journey over. Can he secure it? Wei gets the Herald, but who can pick up the eye? Rookie finally steps up safely and guarantees that Wei can get in there. 2-man Shockwave onto Vampire and Cube. Cube manages to get away, but Vampire cannot. Tempered Fate, unfortunately, does not snag Taeyoon. And IG will just take 1 kill and the Herald as their prize.
Karis wasn't there at the majority of that fight, and without this Aurora, it is going to be so much trickier to be able to play these out. Still very close to WE being able to pick themselves up a couple of kills, but in the end, they lose out onto a kill, and that objective going on Other. So we'll see what happens with this Rift Herald. Are you going to be able to just... I mean, into 2?
Well,
I don't think that
yeah.
that works for TheShy. I think he's correct to just throw that harpoon and walk away.
He identified quickly, do I want to take on 2 people with my ultimate?
Yeah.
Probably not.
I mean, maybe in that situation, right?
Wait, he's coming.
Is he
doesn't have
out?
flash. Good 2-man tangle bars, but Meiko's got the magical journey. Vampire's like, Monkey, please. Bro says, I don't have Cyclone. I can't do anything for you. And Wei just knocks Vampire back to Kingdom Come. Meiko will get traded now. Is Wei compromised here? No Keeper's Verdict, no flash available. Monkey just needs to find one more Nimbus dash, but it's not going to be in time. And Gala, during this whole interference, is just taking a free turn in the mid lane.
My god, phase rush on the Poppy means that Wei's just able to sprint his way back on out of there. Gets himself out alive. Oh my lord.
Oh. What a stat.
That's insane. That's a brilliant stat. This is the play quite a while ago. Rookie, nearly playing as many games as the entirety of WE combined is crazy.
We have to remember as we get a chance to look through the replay here. There might be something happening in the picture-in-picture as well. Rift Herald being spawned. And it's a dive onto Karis' Aurora. There's a flash, but the wall slam finds the Bunny Witch, and yep, those ears are getting trimmed. IG able to shut down Karis' Aurora. Didn't even have a shutdown bounty, really, but it seemed like he was the biggest threat so far on the side of WE, and now this Rift Herald will find one more crash at the very least.
And there's no trade happening right now. Top lane Rookie is pushing Cube in. Mid lane, you've already taken down that tower, and there's no threat onto the mid lane tower from WE. So this is about as free of a play as you can possibly get. And on the retreat out, IG are also going to litter the WE bot side jungle with wards. Going to make this next upcoming Drake that much easier to try to play around. 30 seconds until this one spawns. And with 1 apiece, getting this second Drake for either of these teams going to be critical.
Oh, Rookie even canceled the TP coming out of Cube. Nice picture-in-picture from our observers.
That's a long cooldown that you now don't have.
It's going to make those heroes' entrances even more crucial for WE so that Cube can still put pressure on a side lane, but will not be able to be as far. Tempered Fate lands onto Vampire's Nico, throws out the Pop Blossom, finds 2 members there on the way, and Meiko. Hero's entrance follows up, but Vampire still gets blown up, and now Gala on the offensive finds the W tag. Shy flashes over, burning them all down. Flamesplitter turn to 11, and Wei is on the chase as he flashes up, finds the 2-man Keeper's Verdict. Cosmic Binding from Meiko isn't enough. Rocky flashes for it. Taeyoon tries to look for the revenge as Monki finds the 2-man Cyclone into the backline. Wait a minute, Monki is going crazy. Can he find one more? But Gala remains supreme, and IG find the ace.
There we go. It takes a couple of critical landing of ultis for IG to be able to win that one. WE, despite the fact that they get caught out right there with the Temper of Fate, still able to fight back, still able to grab themselves a couple of kills. But once again, it's IG coming out on top of all of these plays. They're going to get themselves the key prize of the Drake. And they are now at a 4k gold advantage in complete control of this game.
I just want to note that Gala is now 5-0-5 on this Yunara. He is terrifying, and that is probably the one person you do not want to give a major advantage over to in this game.
In terms of IG players, we've got praise for all of them. Almost all of them have been looking all really good pretty much the entire time. But in terms of the peak level of consistency and the best play that I've really been seeing, Gala is really trying to make his argument for best ADC of the split. He's been so consistent. He's been brilliant for them since the very start to the very end. And I love that he's been getting the priority on these champions. The Yunara right there pumping the damage, almost 4k damage in that team fight. They slammed it really early on, not usually a spot in which people pick themselves up those ADCs, but Gala is paying it back to his team tenfold at this point.
I mean, this guy found the first global pentakill for Yunara in the entire world. That is an awesome feat to have. I mean, this guy has some of the most pentakills out of any player in the entire history of League of Legends esports. I think he still has 10 to his name, only one behind Holy Phoenix. I'll love to see if we can get that fact checked, as Vampire goes for the Flash Pop Blossom, even with the Proto Belt, still doesn't find anyone there. Equalizer's gonna cut off their streak. Oh, beautiful 3-man Temper Fate. This is gonna be bad for WE. Wei walks up, down smashes Vampire. Now Cube tries to throw out the hero's entrance, but it's already too late. Now he might be caught, and it might be a hero's death as IG burn him down. IG can now play for the Otacon without any contest for the side of WE.
WE just getting kicked around right here, and we highlighted it right. Hey, Meiko, are you gonna be synergistic with your team, or are you gonna bring the synergy out? Well, so far, he's looked really, really good. We're gonna ignore that one, zoning. It's fine, all good, don't worry about it, rookie. We're talking about Meiko and the Tempered Fates right here, because those have been gorgeous.
Being able to stall the fight like that, or just set up for easy follow-up from the rest of IG.
Yep.
Chef's kiss. Otacon secured. Let's take a look back at that fight.
And it's just way aggressive right here on a Vampire. I understand that you do very much want to pick up a kill here onto Gala. This is a Gala who doesn't have flash at this point either, but the cleanse is still there. You're not necessarily going to be able to fully follow up onto this one. And because the engage does go awry, you have pulled yourself so far forwards that it's very much easy for IG to turn around, pick themselves up those couple of kills, and keep on walking through. You get the mid lane tier 2 tower as well, and IG, they just keep expanding this gold lead.
It's now 6,000 ahead for the side of Invictus Gaming. And we talked about what happens when IG are the ones that get a gold advantage, because they have been put in many scenarios where they are behind in gold at this stage of the game, and they somehow are just able to manifest comebacks like it's nobody's business. So now WE have to pull off the unthinkable. What IG have been able to do almost every single time that they've been in this situation.
And it puts so much pressure right here on a WE that do struggle to pick themselves up those consistent games. They win game 1 very rarely, game 2 quite a lot more often, and fail to round these out. And in this game, Monki is in a decent spot, you know, he's pretty far ahead. He's got himself those 2 items. If he can actually get into the backline, he's going to be cooking. But right now, he's down on the bottom side of the map, and there's a base race happening, and you don't win this right now as WE.
Nope. Karis was trying to slow them down, but the good keeper's verdict from Wei just keeps them in place, unable to aggress further, and TheShy using that equalizer to kill the entire minion wave. And because IG have the power of Baron, or not Baron buff, I should say, but just the fact that there is no Baron, it's very easy for TheShy to hold this even against 2 people. So WE are able to at least stop it for now. And we do get a confirmation. Pentakill leaders in the LPL are Gala and Pace tied at 11. We have Ruler at 10, and then we got a couple other shoutouts as well to Smalls and Elk. But I think that means Gala and Pace are tied globally with Holy Phoenix, because the last time I saw, it was Holy Phoenix at number 1 with 11.
Yeah, they have just been so consistent at picking up pentas, and it's crazy to think 11 is insane. The amount of things that have to go right, you obviously have to be a brilliant ADC to be able to do it, but you need so many things to go right and so much luck to be in your favor to be able to pick that many up. Has been great to see. TheShy though gonna get jumped.
Uh-oh, 1v2. Well, TheShy is no stranger to cyberbullying from the side of his enemy teammates, so happens. They get a big shutdown for themselves into Monki's pockets. We'll see if WE can try and use that to get a bit of a gold stimulus check into this Wukong's inventory, but I don't know if it's going to be enough here, Bloxxer.
X-Drinker is going to be the move here. Just going to try keep himself a little bit more alive. Rookie and TheShy have obviously been pumping out that damage, but Monki heading straight up towards the top side of the map. There's no look towards this trade, so this is just going to be Soul Point picked up right here for IG. They've got themselves a 5,000 gold lead, Soul Point in inventory, and they're in a very strong spot to be able to close this game out. Still, the trade is going to be Cube grabbing himself this shutdown onto a tower, a little bit of gold bounty into his inventory. And it's something, right? WE, they're at least still finding these moments. The pick on the bottom lane to TheShy, grabbing that tower topside. But now's going to be their biggest test yet. Can they actually step up and compete right here for the Baron?
Hero's entrance from Cube just so that he can get away from the collapse of IG, who were looking to cut off his retreat route. It is successful for Cube, but now he's down in ultimate, so if he wants to join a fight on the other side of the map, it will have to be from a well-placed teleport. IG setting up control now on the top side of the map, since Baron is alive for the taking. They just need to make sure that they do all of the steps correctly, which IG definitely going to be a team to do so.
Absolutely, they have just been so consistent. We're 25 minutes into this game. This is where the IG that looks like they could go compete on an international stage really pops up. This is where they fully come into their own. And for WE, their late game decision making hasn't necessarily been the best. When they win, it's oftentimes because they just fling themselves at their opponents. And Taeyoon, Monki, Vampire, they just have these moments where they pop off, find these key picks. And in terms of games in which you have the ability to find key picks, WE, they've got this all-in sort of composition. If you can fly into the backline between Monki and Taeyoon and actually kill Gala, finally get that shutdown onto this key carry, there's a chance you can win this one out. It's going to be a real tall order, though.
Karis and Taeyoon, the first ones to arrive. They got to be careful about face-checking too far, though, as the punish from IG could be devastating. Monki now arriving to the play. They get to see that it's at 3k HP briefly. Good equalizer and shockwave just to hold them at the front door so they can't get in. Tempered Fate will snag one as Vampire was forced to flash away, but Cube now gets his flash out. Way is going crazy, finds the two-man Keeper's Verdict on one clone and does manage to find Taeyoon snag. And now IG are on the pursuit, trying to chase for more. Cube and Vampire could be up next on the dinner platter as IG will take out the Stone Golem in Galio. And IG, now 5-3, are making the victory march into the base.
Yeah, this should be the end right here. You've got yourself 20 seconds until you have Taeyoon back up and available. Mid lane inhibitor will fall. Top lane tower and inhibitor soon to follow. And with these Baron empowered minions pouring into the base, you can just look to end this one out.
14 seconds on Taeyoon. Maybe IG will show restraint here. We'll see how bold they decide to feel. As Rookie, be careful on the right side flank, as Karis was looking for a straggler, but Rookie and TheShy, or I said say Rookie and Meiko, making sure that they know that the important rule about walking in a jungle late at night, Bloxxer, never do it without a buddy.
Always gotta have a pal alongside you, otherwise things can go a little bit wrong. Karis was absolutely hunting, looking to pick himself up a little bit of a shutdown. And we'll have a look back at this Baron play that most likely seals the deal here in this first game for IG. As you called out perfectly, Shockwave Equalizer rips half the health bar off of the majority of these champions, and at this point you just can't get away. Really well played as well from Way to be able to jump on in there, get himself that Keeper's Verdict through as well, just to get that last little bit of knock-up down and the damage on through. And I do like it from IG that they don't decide to over-aggress and try to end the game right then and there. There's no need to. You still got yourself that Baron buff for another minute or so, and now you've got these supers pouring in through the top and mid lane. Bot lane push should be the final little bit. All they need is one more pick, really, and this will be IG's first game.
And with no summoner spells on Taeyoon, he is a juicy target. Same thing with Vampire. Karis and Monki, the only ones that have a little bit of agency. Vampire looking for a deep flank. Gonna be seen on this ward. They know that that minion is sus as hell, and he gets stunned, and the Pop Blossom is just so sad. Vampire will eventually get taken out by Rookie on the side here. Flank on the left side. Monki goes into the back line. Gala, is he compromised yet? It looks like he's still firing. He's got a GA popped. He's able to flash and distance himself. The Tempered Fate keeps Cube right in place. The Cosmic Binding stunning him up. And Wei is just wrecking Karis' face in the backline all by himself. Looks like Karis will not be able to make it out. It's the Baron minions that finish him off. And IG just make it look so damn easy and too damn clean. IG pick up the first game of the series.
Sub 30-minute win right here from IG, and it's off the back of a couple team fights where WE are millimeters. They're 10, 20 HP away from being able to win out onto these fights, but IG, they're just too clean, and you give them an advantage early on, they will carry it through.
There's a reason why I have black and white on Bloxxer. I have IG colors on. It just... If you... What else can I say? I mean, IG... They make it look relatively very, very simple. Now, the 5-10% kind of rookie's fault. It's okay. He got dropped one time by Karis, and that is something that we have come to expect about rookie. But the other deaths that I saw this game, it felt like either they were necessary deaths or they were overloads from WE. So at that point for IG, it's like, well, what can you do? This was their play. This is what they decided to index on. We're getting advantages on the other side of the map.
Exactly, and I love that you highlight that because it's what wasn't happening for WE. When they were finding these picks, it wasn't where they were then able to find something on the other side. Or when they were getting picked off, they weren't then able to find something on the other side of the map. They were having these trades happen pretty much for free. IG just getting this gold into their back pockets. And you can see it in the fact that you've now got a couple of people who just didn't end up even dying, right? You get away with Gala, 0 deaths. TheShy, 0 deaths. TheShy, 0 deaths here on the Rumble. Just played a brilliant game out for himself. Sorry, 1 death, I think. He gets caught off on the sideline. But Gala, he's chilling. He does not die the entirety of that game. And it's so tough to play up against an IG when they get themselves those early advantages.
For Invictus Gaming, this team is just going to continue to improve and polish all of their strengths further and try and cover up their weaknesses as much as possible. I think there was a couple good things from WE. Once again, the fact that Karis was stepping up and finding some decent advantages. He had a majority of his team's damage share in this game. This was a unexpectedly quiet game from Monki this time around. It seemed like he was just an ult bot rather than being able to find significant threats in a majority of these fights. Whether that was a result of the mid game going horribly wrong once they, I think it wasn't this dragon fight because this was even, right? This is the one where Karis steals the dragon at the end, but I think it was the objective afterwards where IG were solidly in the lead after that point.
But even this fight, right? This should be WE's to win. They get that initial combo off, and it's beautiful. Pop Blossom straight into that hero's entrance. Should be a one-team fight, but they still don't manage to come out of that on top. It just ends up being even, and then we see in these remaining fights. You manage to get a couple of members kind of low here as WE towards the end of this fight. You trade it back for a couple of kills, but IG at this point, they are just wrecking. They're just able to keep on getting themselves into these very aggressive spots. And it makes it work so well. Gala as well. I love the aggression that he's showing right here on the Yunara. And for IG, this is expected, right? You come into this game, you think you're going to be able to win this first one. What would be unexpected would be IG winning this second game. Because WE, they love winning game number 2s. I just worry a little bit that it didn't even feel like WE were able to carry through off of any early advantages they'd gotten for themselves in this one.
Yeah. Didn't seem like the setup was necessarily there. Obviously, the onus is on Monki and Vampire to initiate. Some of the times, Vampire found decent Pop Blossom initiations.
Yeah.
But sometimes Monki couldn't get in. The Equalizer and the Tempered Fate were stalling some of these fights out. And then by the time we got to the point in the game where Monki had a little bit more gold in his pocket, it was just too late, right? And for WE, especially into a team like IG who understand when fights are not looking good and when to give up necessary objectives. You highlighted it that when WE are winning, it's because they're just running at you, blitzing you, almost like a smork comp, right? If you think about Hearthstone terminology, you're just, hit face, you don't care about anything else. You just, you go in.
Yeah.
But IG has so many ways to slow down the fight or prevent you from getting in. And when IG were doing that successfully, then WE just ran out of steam and ways to get into the backline, and then they were caught overextended.
And this was exactly the kind of composition you're talking about, where they have to just fling themselves at you. It was really rough from Taeyoon in this game, but it's not necessarily his fault. He needed a bigger early advantage to be able to stand in the face of any of these opponent champions. You have to be real strong as a Kai'Sa to be able to go toe-to-toe with a Rumble, otherwise Flame Spitter gets turned on and your health bar gets deleted very, very quickly, and he was never that far ahead. Even that bot lane pick that they ended up grabbing for themselves onto TheShy, that gold went over to Monki instead, and it just meant they were never really able to get involved in it. Okay.
Oh, nice for Dway.
I like this.
I almost thought that because Gala went deathless on the Yunara that he was going to get the MVP, but once again, this is another clean game relatively from Way's Poppy. It's a nice glow up from the disastrous FPX series where he's trying to prevent FPX from ending the game and then he misses the Keeper's Verdict, but every Poppy game since then has been instrumental. It allows him to lead the early game and he just understands his job. And thankfully for him, the decisions he has to make on Poppy are relatively simple to execute, enough for him that he does not mess up the execution. For that, though, that is the end of our first game. And before we toss it over to break, we want to remind everyone, if you would like to support the LPL English, consider becoming a Coffee member. Coffee is the best way to support the LPL English project, since the vast majority of your contributions will go directly to the show. A lot of the initial payments go into upgrading the broadcast, but a huge bulk of it pays on-air talent and content creators. Subscribe to our Coffee linked in chat to unlock perks like early access to content and the ability to ask interview questions. Without further ado, y'all, it's time for a break. When we come back, it's going to be game 2 between WE and IG.